Hello, and welcome to the webinar on the new DOJ Grants and Payments Systems. My name is Maria Swineford, and I am a business manager of the Just Grants program within the Office of Justice Programs, the Office of the Assistant Attorney General. In this webinar, I'm representing the three Department of Justice grant-making components: the Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, the COPS Office, the Office of Justice Programs, OJP, and the Office on Violence Against Women, OVW, which are all undertaking a significant transition in their grants and financial management systems. As an overview, this webinar will provide external users for DOJ's grants and financial management systems with an overview of the transition. We'll talk about the key dates associated with the transition, as well as new features and what to expect. In particular, I'll highlight the exciting areas that our new grants management system will provide, new functionalities, opportunities for DOJ award recipients. Lastly, I'll also share details on where you can learn information about the transition, prepare yourself for your organization for the transition, and to provide the overview of the system and learn more about specifics on how to use the system. Check out the training resources page and other key information. But first, I want to start a bit with sharing what is driving our purpose for this effort. The COPS Office, OJP, and OVW value our grantees' many contributions to promoting public safety, reducing crime, and serving victims. By transitioning to the new systems, we will provide an improved user experience that will allow you to focus on carrying out the important work you do for our nation. As we move through this presentation, I'm going to talk a lot about some innovation sessions that we had with our external users over the past few years, and really how that has informed our experience and our transition in building out the system. So before I get into that, I will go over what this transition really means. So for those of you who use the OJP and OVW grants management system, we'll be transitioning to the Just Grants system. And those of you who use the next-gen COPS Office system will also be transitioning to the same DOJ Just Grants system. For all external users as well, we'll be transitioning away from our grants payment request system, which is currently used by all three offices. We'll be moving to the Treasury Automated Standard Application for Payment System, known as the ASAP system. So some key dates to think about during this transition. From July to August, ASAP registration has been opened already. You should have already been receiving some emails around registering with ASAP and before these systems go live. The ASAP enrollment invitations are being issued on a rolling basis, and they're issued all the way through we go live. We are also undergoing the onboarding of the Just Grants system. So you should be receiving emails between now and September 30th to onboard into Just Grants. These notifications are going to your e-business point of contact in sam.gov. One of the key things I'll be talking about throughout this webinar is the many integrations that Just Grants has with other shared solutions such as sam.gov. So we are excited with this integration because it allows us to use sam.gov as the source of truth for our vendor information. So with that, we need to start with somewhere within sam.gov to start the onboarding process. So we have contacted the eBiz point of contacts to begin the onboard process, and we'll continue to do so through September 11th. So if you have not received information about onboarding yet, it could be that you have not received the information because we're doing this through September 11th. You may always look in sam.gov and see who your e-business point of contact is, reach out to them and see if they've already been notified. I'll talk more about that in resources later in the presentation. So more about the reason we're doing this, the purpose for this initiative. And over the course of the last few years, we have heard a need consistently across OJP, COPS, and OVW external constituents that we need better and improved access and accuracy to our data. Oftentimes, we're asked for information across all three DOJ offices, But with the two separate solutions we have right now, that's very difficult for us to do and very difficult for grantees to be able to manage awards that they may have with the COPS office as well as OVW or multiple awards within the various OJP offices. We've heard many times that we need to get away from redundancy in manual data entry. So you'll hear a theme throughout this webinar about data validation and use of data from beginning of the grants lifecycle through the end of the lifecycle and pre-populating this information as needed so that there's less manual data entry throughout the grants lifecycle. We've also heard that building online forms and having the data validations built in also not only streamlines efforts and reduces the burden on grantees, but it also creates valid data and consistent data throughout the grants lifecycle. So you'll see streamlined end-to-end processes throughout the new system, beginning all the way from the solicitation stage all the way through to closeout. And with the ASAP integration that I have mentioned, there's a lot of benefits here for our federal constituents. Department of Treasury system is widely used across multiple federal agencies. So it's a shared platform that will replace GPRS, but many entities and organizations are already very familiar with. If you have awards with other federal agencies that use ASAP, you will be able to continue to use those accounts and be able to see your DOJ awards in those same areas of your ASAP interactions. ASAP offers DOJ grantees numerous benefits, including no fees for payment requesters to use the system, easy online access to your account. You can view current balances, account history, status of payments, faster payment processing times, including same-day or next-day payment options. Many self-service banking functionality, very similar to perhaps what you do in your personal online banking, enhanced security and efficiencies, and electronic funding return options, which replace the time-consuming paper returns that we're experiencing now. With that, we are also leveraging best practices in shared services. So as I mentioned, we have held several innovation sessions with our external grantees, but also we met with several other federal agencies who were going through similar experiences, whether they were going through grants management transformations, innovation initiatives, or other system transitions. We wanted to meet with them and learn their best practices, learn about their challenges, learn what systems and services they're using so that we can leverage as much of that information as possible. We are leveraging government-wide shared services. I have mentioned SAM.gov. We'll continue to integrate with grants.gov as we have with some of our legacy systems, but also looking at obviously integrating with ASAP and then looking at future integrations. So we have built and used a platform that will allow us to integrate with future services down the road should they be implemented on a federal-wide level or in some other capacity. And then we're integrating with commercial level software, and we're using software that has been tried and used across the Department of Justice and other areas of our work, and we know has been successful and supported throughout the entire Department of Justice. So for key areas of improvement, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the grants management lifecycle, and I'm going to highlight for you the exciting opportunities and new technology, new enhancements that Just Grants has to offer our external users. I'll talk a lot about entity management. You'll hear the theme of data and valid data, pulling data throughout the entire life cycle so that it reduces that manual burden and allows you to get your job done in the system a lot quicker. We heard in our innovation sessions over and over again that our grantee recipients want to spend more time helping their communities in implementing the program than trying to figure out and navigate the grant award lifecycle process. So our key takeaway when we were developing the system is how we could best serve you by making the system as efficient and as user-friendly as possible. So let's first talk about entity management. Entity management, the word entity is relatively new to some of our DOJ external users. But essentially, this is our recipient organizations. With leveraging SAM.gov, we need to use the same language, and an entity is that of an organization in SAM.gov. So what we've done is we have integrated with SAM.gov. It gives you the flexibility to manage the users within your organization. So you will have the ability to invite as many users into Just Grants as you need to be able to manage the number of wards that you have. In some smaller organizations, this may only be 1 or 2 people, but for larger organizations, universities, state administering agencies, you now have the flexibility to invite users in, have their own logins and authenticate them, and then be able to assign work to those users so that they work on only those applications or awards that are assigned to them are within their area of work. So we're very excited about this new functionality. We know that logging in, entity management, profile management, account management has been a tremendous pain point over the years, and very excited to offer some services to reduce that burden and make that easier for our grantees. The landing page. So a lot of streamlined functionality is going to be built into what we call the landing page, which is your home page. It's where you will go every time you log into the system. Very streamlined and intuitive interface, very modern technologies that we are leveraging here. Some new features that you'll see and some exciting functionality. You'll be able to manage entity-wide documents. So for those forms that you tend to submit over and over for multiple applications within the Department of Justice, you'll be able to manage in a library that all of your users can access and update and apply the same form to multiple applications that you may be submitting for that particular year. An example of that might be the Financial Capability Questionnaire. Oftentimes we get the same entity applying for multiple awards but have a different Financial Capability Questionnaire, making it hard for us to know which version is the most complete or up to date. Or indirect cost rate agreements. Now you can manage them within your own library so that the most recent questionnaire is getting uploaded and getting attached to your applications. You'll also have access to federal-wide forms right at your fingertips within a federal-wide library, as well as access to your applications and awards very easily right on your homepage screen. You'll see notifications and alerts right there on pending deadlines. So for example, if you have started an application and the solicitation deadline, the application deadline is approaching, you will see right on your landing page when that due date is coming up and alert you so that you won't miss that deadline to apply. Identifying grant opportunities. So again, I mentioned integrations. We continue to integrate with grants.gov, which has always been something that we've done in our legacy systems. And so this allows you to have the familiar look and feel to search and find and initiate your grants, your applications in grants.gov. What we've done is simplified the grants.gov application submission process down to submitting a 424 form and a lobbying form. We have minimized the amount of work that has to be done in grants.gov so that we can provide you direct access into Just Grants to complete the rest of the application submission process. And the advantage to that is what we have been able to build around the application submission process. So by entering in through Just Grants, you're able to see deadlines, as I had mentioned, so you know when those application deadlines are approaching. But what we are able to do is dynamically create an application package for you based on what's required in the solicitation. So where the solicitation might have critical components that you need to complete, those are the sections that you're going to see online on the screen to apply directly to. We have also integrated the budget detailed worksheet into the solution. For many of you, this is a familiar Excel spreadsheet that you use for your very complex budgets. Building this into Just Grants so that it is entered directly into the solution, again, allows us to use that data downstream. So when you go to do a budget modification, for example, we're pulling that most recent budget information into those award modifications so that your streamlined experience is right at your fingertips and you're only updating the information that you need to update. We leverage application data when we're reviewing our awards and submitting the financial and performance reports. So the data that's collected along the application process will continue to show up throughout your experience and throughout the life cycle of your award. Award accept and decline. For those of you who have been using the OJP and OVW grants management system, what Just Grants allows us to do is have electronic signature when you're accepting and declining your award. So this is new and exciting for our OJP and OVW grantees. And we have the ability in Just Grants to authorize the authorized representatives, and for the COPS office, the law enforcement and government executives as well. And so you get the timestamp, you can accept and decline your award, or provide any justifications you need to right there on the screen. So no more scanning, signing, and emailing back to be able to accept your award. What this also provides is more instantaneous access to funds. In the previous manner in which we would accept and decline under scanning and emailing, it would take some time before your award would reflect as being accepted and therefore having access to your funds. This makes that process far more efficient. For financial reporting, what we've been able to do here is create a consistent experience of completing the FFR. In the past, there may have been different forms. If you had awards across COPS, OJP, and OVW, you may have seen different versions of the FFR report that you were completing. This has leveraged the OMB 425 form structure, so it's consistent across all of your DOJ awards. You'll only be entering your cumulative amounts, and we were able to integrate the instructions directly into the FFR right there on the screen, so you don't have to bounce between instructions or helpful hints and guides in order to complete your FFR on time. Performance management is a new and exciting functionality that we'll be employing over multiple iterations of Just Grants. But what we've done is we've been able to streamline a questionnaire format that uses business logic to answer questions. So based on your responses, that will direct you to which questions you need to answer so that you're only answering the questions that you need. This also has all the data validation built directly in so that you can have confidence in the data that you're submitting. We also have the ability to provide the narrative responses to support the data that's being reported. We've heard some pain points over time because some performance management data needs to be submitted at a different time than narrative responses. And this allows us to combine it together to streamline the performance reporting functionality and experience for our grantees, but also helps increase the efficiency of our grant managers internally who need to review the information and provide feedback or comments back to the grantees if any changes are necessary to their performance reports. Over time, we'll be enhancing this functionality so that we can better share out the good work that you're doing in your communities. In those innovation sessions that I had mentioned, we heard over and over again that grantees are anxious to see how their awards are impacting communities across the United States. So across all of the awards that may have been funded under that solicitation, how are the federal funds impacting the communities across the board? And access to data and enterprise-wide data to all of DOJ data around certain areas has been a challenge because of the bifurcated systems. Now that we have Just Grants, we are one step closer to having that enterprise access to the data across all DOJ offices and being able to better put out that data and that information for grantees and the public to see where funding is going and the good work that you all are doing in your communities. Grant award modifications. For those of you who are using the GMS system for OVW and OJP, these used to be called grant adjustment notifications. But coming into alignment with more frequently used terminology, we now call these grant award modifications, so GAMs. What's new and exciting around GAMs is, again, that data validation and pulling that data all the way through the system, pre-populating data from the award information or the budget or the application information is less work that you have to do manually entering and perhaps getting information wrong, which eliminates all the back and forth that you may have experienced in the past with grant adjustments or grant award modifications. It streamlines the experience. We've been able to reduce the number of GAMs that need to be submitted because we've been able to consolidate the screens, and we've eliminated duplication. We also provide a snapshot of all your award details in one place when you're completing most of the work that you're doing around the whole entire life cycle, so that you always see which award you're working under, what the time frames are, the dollar amounts, so that you're always aware of which award you're working in the system. Around monitoring, again, having a combined view here of DOJ monitoring activities all in one place for your entities. You'll be able to see pending and completed monitoring for your organization, the entire history, and with issues for resolutions all in one place without navigating to multiple different screens. That's actually a functionality, a feature that is exciting across the entire platform. The way the interface has been designed, all of your award information is primarily in one place. So you don't have to jump around to perhaps different modules. That's a word we are eliminating, perhaps a different module to get to, say, a progress report or a FFR. Everything is all in one place. When you're in that particular award, you can navigate to all of the different areas of the life cycle within that award. And with closeout, again, this is going to be key because the data that we're pulling through from the application process all the way through to the end will present itself on the closeout screen. If all final requirements are met by the time you get to the closeout stage, it should be a one-click to close your award out, making it as simple as possible for you on your end. If all your final deliverables are not in place, we present everything to you on one screen. So if you're missing a financial report, you're able to see where it is and which report is missing. Same with performance reports or any other outstanding deliverables that you may see at the closeout stage. So with that, I'll talk about the transition itself. We have a robust structure in place to make sure that we are transitioning our organizations the best way and most comprehensive way we can. We have teams working on communications and engagement, training, policy and procedures, user support, and system readiness. Each of these work lanes are very focused on a particular area of change management, but interconnected since the work is overlapping. For example, new policies will need to be incorporated into training materials, and the availability of content of that training needs to be communicated out to our stakeholders. So I'll talk about each of these in more detail. Communications and engagement. There are endless opportunities here and different mechanisms for communications. Given the current maximum telework environment we're working under, we're maximizing online trainings and webinars to reach out to our constituents. Communications will promote resources, trainings, FAQs, checklists on a variety of platforms and on our consolidated one-stop shop website for Just Grants. Communications are essential. We'll be using e-new blasts and different website platforms to get these messages out to you. You should already be seeing them as we've been sending them out quite frequently. Regarding training, we're excited about our training. Even though we are at a maximum telework capacity, it has allowed us to get creative and to do more around our training, particularly for our external constituents who are across the nation. So learning opportunities are going to be in a variety of formats structured around various grants management life cycles and phases. We're also leveraging modern technology and the way that adults learn now with small, short videos that are accompanied with job aids and infographics and different FAQs and materials to address the critical differences between COPS, OJP, and OVW and their different award requirements. Content on Just Grants and its intersections with ASAP are critical, and we have all of that material that will be available as well. Regarding the other work lanes, as I've mentioned, we are aligning our policy and procedure updates to prepare for those. User support, we've established a multi-tier help desk and other support capabilities so that we can support you as you transition through the use of the new system. And for system readiness, to make sure that all of our integrations are in place with, say, sam.gov or grants.gov, and making sure that we have migrated our data successfully from our legacy systems, et cetera. As far as next steps, we encourage you to sign up for our subscription email account, visit our website often, and subscribe to the newsblast, but also email askjustgrants@usdoj.gov with any questions or feedback you have. The website that we have, justgrants.usdoj.gov, is filled with FAQs and checklists, and all of the email communications that have been sent out thus far are all in a repository, so you can read everything that's gone out to our grantee communities. As we continue to make awards for this FY20 season, you may be a newcomer and just now receiving some information. So please check back with the website and make sure you have the latest and greatest information. And with that, I thank you all for joining this webinar, and we look forward to the launch of the new DOJ grants and payment systems.